The envelope was thick, cream-colored, and utterly final. It sat on my pristine kitchen table, a stark monument to betrayal. My hands, which had kneaded bread and cradled babies in this very room, did not tremble as I opened it. The words "notice to vacate" swam before my eyes, but it was the name beneath property owner that stole the air from my lungs. Not mine. Not Arthur's. Celeste Dubois. A name I'd only heard in hushed, secretive phone calls. My husband, my partner of 42 years, had not just left me for a woman 30 years his junior. He had gifted her my home. The home we built. The home where our son took his first steps, where we buried our beloved dog beneath the old oak, where I had nursed Arthur himself through a cancer scare. He hadn't just broken my heart, he had tried to erase my very history. But Arthur had forgotten who he was dealing with. He had forgotten the girl he'd married, the one who could calculate compound interest in her head and outnegotiate any car salesman. He saw a frail, aging woman. He never saw the strategist. Hello, my dear friends. I am Clara. If you are sitting down, I advise you to stay that way. The story I am about to tell you is one of profound betrayal, but it is also a story of breathtaking reclamation. It is about the moment you realize the person you trusted most in the world sees you as disposable, and the fierce, quiet power that realization unlocks. If you have ever felt invisible, ever been made to feel that your story is over, then know this, it is only just beginning. Don't forget to subscribe and share your own stories of resilience in the comments below. This is the story of the house Arthur took from me, and how I took everything else. The signs had been there, I suppose, for those who knew how to look. The new, expensive cologne that smelled of sandalwood and deceit. The business trips that always seemed to fall on our anniversary weekend. The way his phone, once left carelessly on the coffee table, was now guarded like a state secret. I had chosen to see what I wanted to see. I had built a life on the foundation of our love, and the thought of it being rotten to the core was too terrifying to entertain. The confrontation was brutal in its simplicity. I held up the eviction notice, my voice dangerously calm. Care to explain this, Arthur? He didn't flinch. He didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. He simply sighed, as if I were a tiresome child interrupting his important work. Clara, be reasonable. This house is too much for you. The stairs, the garden, it's a burden. Celeste, she's in a difficult position. This helps her. It helps her? The words were a whisper, torn from a place of such deep hurt it felt like a physical wound. You are giving my home, our home, to your mistress? It's just a house, Clara, he said, his voice flat. Bricks and mortar. And it's already done. Her name is on the deed. Legally, it's hers. Just a house. He might as well have said my heart was just a muscle. This was where we had painted the nursery a soft yellow, arguing good-naturedly over the shade. This was where we had danced in the kitchen on a random Tuesday, just because a good song came on the radio. This was where I had held his hand as he took his last, rattling breath, promising him I would be okay. It was not just a house. It was the museum of our life, and he had sold off the collection. I saw it then, in the cold, practical set of his jaw. The man I loved was gone, replaced by a stranger who saw emotions as currency and loyalty as a weakness. He and this Celeste had conspired to make me homeless, to pocket the value of my life's work. A hot, blinding rage wanted to erupt. I wanted to scream, to throw things, to claw his eyes out. But that is what he would expect. That is what she would expect. The hysterical, discarded wife. They were prepared for that. They were not prepared for what came next. In that moment, Clara, the heartbroken widow, receded. And a new Clara was born. A patient, calculating, and utterly ruthless Clara. I let my shoulders slump. The fight seemed to drain out of me. I looked down at the eviction notice, my eyes glazing over with a convincing sheen of confusion. I I don't understand, I mumbled, making my voice tremble. The papers, they're so confusing these days. Arthur's posture changed instantly. The defensiveness melted away, replaced by a patronizing concern. It's all right, Clara. Don't trouble yourself with it. But, this is my home, I whispered, leaning heavily on the table. We'll sort it out, he said, his voice smooth. I'll take care of everything. And I knew, with chilling certainty, that he would. He would take care of everything right into Celeste's bank account. Thus began the greatest performance of my life. I became a master of subtle decay. I began to lose my memory. I'd call Arthur by his father's name. I'd stand in the middle of a room, looking bewildered, asking where the sugar was kept. I'd tell long, rambling stories about our courtship, then trail off, my face a blank canvas of confusion. I invited them to dinner, Arthur and Celeste. I wanted to see my enemy. She was young, of course, with the sleek, polished beauty of a new sports car. Her eyes, sharp and assessing, scanned every room, mentally redecorating. I played the dotty, harmless old woman to perfection. I spilled a little wine. I forgot the name of the dish I was serving. I saw the looks they exchanged, not of concern, but of triumph. My senility was their get-out-of-jail-free card. The poor dear, Celeste said to Arthur, her voice dripping with false sympathy, loud enough for me to hear. It's really progressing, isn't it? We really should move her into assisted living sooner rather than later. Soon, Arthur agreed, patting her hand. Once the logistics are finalized. The logistics of my eviction. The logistics of my life. Emboldened by my perceived incapacity, they grew reckless. They started treating the house as their own. Celeste began bringing over decorators. They would have loud, whispered arguments in the living room, believing me to be asleep or too lost in my own mind to comprehend. And I listened. I recorded. A small, voice-activated digital recorder became my most treasured possession. I slipped it into the pocket of my favorite cardigan, a uniform of harmless old age. I captured everything. Their laughter as they discussed how much they'd get for the house once the old baggage was in a home. Arthur's detailed confession, explaining to Celeste how he'd forged my signature on the transfer documents while I was heavily sedated after a minor procedure. She'll never remember signing a thing, he said with a dark chuckle. It's foolproof. They were so confident, so utterly sure of their victory. They were building their future on the bedrock of my supposed ruin. They saw me as a ghost, already gone. They never realized I was the one holding the séance. After 2 months of this exquisite charade, I had a library of their crimes. The fraud, the conspiracy, the cold-hearted intention to commit me. It was all there, in their own voices. It was time to act. I reached out to a real estate agent, a formidable woman named Beatrice who had been a friend for 40 years. I met her at a quiet cafe, far from prying eyes. When I played her the recordings, her face hardened into a mask of grim satisfaction. The transfer was fraudulent, Clara, she said. With this, we can have it overturned in a heartbeat. The house is still legally yours. I don't just want it back, B, I said, my voice steady. I want to be rid of it. I want to take it from them before they even know it's gone. I want to vanish and leave them with nothing but the echo of their own greed. Beatrice smiled. I know just the buyer. We moved with swift, silent efficiency. The legal challenge to the deed was a formality, a single, devastating blow from my lawyer that left Arthur sputtering and confused. Before he could even process it, Beatrice had a cash buyer, a young family, eager and full of life. The sale was closed in a week. The money was wired to a new account, in my name only, in a bank Arthur knew nothing about. On the day of the closing, I packed a single suitcase. I took only what mattered: photo albums, Arthur's love letters from a time when his words were true, my mother's pearls. I walked through the empty rooms one last time, not with sadness, but with a profound sense of closure. This was no longer my home. It was a shell. I was taking the soul of it with me. On the clean, empty kitchen counter, I left 2 items. The first was the key for the new owners. The second was a letter. My dearest Arthur and Celeste. By the time you read this, the house will belong to another family. I imagine they will fill it with laughter and love, things that have been absent here for some time. The proceeds from the sale are safe, and they will ensure my comfort for the rest of my days, far from your concerned, duplicitous care. You believed my mind was failing you. It was not. It was simply lying in wait. Every forgotten name, every moment of confusion, was a carefully laid trap. And you, my darlings, walked right into it. You confessed everything, your voices clear as bell, saved in multiple digital and physical copies now in the possession of my lawyer and the district attorney's office. You thought you were so clever, stealing a house from a feeble old woman. You didn't realize you were stealing from a chess master who had already seen your every move. You tried to bury me, but you forgot that I am the one who taught you how to dig. Do not bother looking for me. The woman you knew is gone. I have left you the one thing you truly deserve, each other, and the magnificent wreckage of your own making. With all the feeling you have shown me, Clara. I did not look back. I got into the taxi waiting at the curb and was gone. I later heard, through a discreet channel, what happened next. They had arrived that evening, Celeste with a tape measure for the new curtains, to find a strange man mowing the lawn. Their key no longer fit the lock. Their belongings, which they had slowly been moving in, were in boxes on the driveway. The police were there, waiting to speak with Arthur about the small matter of forgery and fraud. They lost it all. The house, the money, their freedom. Arthur faced serious charges. But more than that, they lost their narrative. They were no longer the triumphant new couple, they were the pathetic schemers who had been outsmarted by a senile old woman. I live in a small, sun-drenched cottage by the sea now. The sound of the waves is a constant, soothing melody. I have peace. I have my freedom. They took the house, but in doing so, they gave me the one gift I never knew I needed, the absolute, unshakable certainty of my own strength. I am no longer Arthur's wife. I am Clara. And my story is finally, and completely, my own. The most profound revolutions are often the quietest. They are not announced with shouts, but with a silent closing of a door. My story is a testament to the power of the mind, the strength of spirit, and the beautiful, terrible price of underestimating someone based on the chapter of life they are in. If this tale of quiet vengeance and reclaimed autonomy resonated with you, if it reminded you that your greatest power often lies in the parts of you that others overlook, then please, support this channel. Subscribe for more stories of courage found in the unlikeliest of places, and let me know in the comments what you would have done in my shoes. Until next time.